Hi, I'm Jennifer Hollick with Ancestral Souls, and many of you know me also with the World War II Research and Writing Center. It's Saturday, the 21st of March, 2020, and I wanted to share a little bit with you today about connecting with your ancestors. Now, while we're in this time of massive change where we are being asked all around the world to stay home to stop the spread of this virus, and on some level, we're also being encouraged to look at the choices that we've been making in our lives, whether that's what we consume in our bodies, how we spend our money, how we spend our time, ways that we are distracted, and also look at the things that we haven't wanted to, that we've pushed down. And some of that can be helped by working with our ancestors. And I know there are a lot of people out there that say, well, that's just crazy. You can't talk to your ancestors. There are some religions that say, you can connect through God and, that's the way that you can heal. But there are so many different ways to heal and so many different ways to connect to our ancestors. And a lot of us, especially those in America who came from Europe, immigrated, we've lost touch over the centuries with our original roots and the magic and healing that they had, the knowledge of the land, and the ways that they honored their ancestors. Now, a lot of people today do genealogy, and that is one huge way to connect with our ancestors. One thing that stops a lot of people, though, when they do genealogy is society has kind of said, well, it's crazy. You can't talk to your ancestors. You can't hear them. And if you do, there's something wrong with you. And that's not true. There are a lot of groups that say, epigenetics or inherited trauma is not a real thing. But there's a lot of scientific study around that say we inherit the things from our ancestors, the trauma. We also inherit their blessings. And by connecting with them in whatever way you do, can help bring more of that into your life. And as we work with that, we not only heal ourselves, but we heal our ancestors and we heal the collective, which is exactly what's needed right now. And the more each of us steps up and does our part, whether it's one small change in what we're consuming, maybe you go for that fresh fruit and vegetable instead of the bakery that you've always been picking up. Maybe you cut back on how much meat you're eating. Maybe you choose that you're not going to go spending money on all these things that really do you need? I think a lot of us are looking at that. But if we all do our part, and if we call in the support of our ancestors, it will help, and it'll make the adjustment a little bit easier. Now, if you read my book, I Bring Dead Guys Home, I have had a lot of experience talking to my ancestors. They've helped guide me, shape me, not only my personal life, but my professional life since before 2012, when I really started to connect with them, but especially since 2012. And a couple people in particular, my great-grandfather, Joseph Kokoska, who I never met in this life, and my cousin James Provoznik, who died during the Battle of the Bulge. There have been a lot of other family members, my grandma Libby, my grandpa Joe, who was in World War II in the Navy. They've shown up. Some other people show up now and then, and I've been learning to connect with my ancient ancestral guides and ancestors. People that go back centuries, thousands and thousands of years in North Africa, I'm connecting with, which is very interesting. So I'm starting to do some reading on African ritual and connecting with your ancestors to see another side of things. But one way, kind of an easy way that you can practice to connect with your ancestors is through channeled journaling. So how do we do this? Well, one way is to get into a comfortable, quiet spot, maybe put some meditation music on or some drumming in the background, or you can do it just with the room being quiet. I tend to light candles in the room. And I'm sorry, my allergies are starting to go a little crazy here in Chicago. You can light some candles, light some incense. If you like to use crystals, you can put those around you, whatever works for you. Or just have your journal and pen. Sit in a quiet spot, close your eyes, kind of get grounded in your body, and that means pulling your energy back and then connecting to Source, God, Creator, whoever you believe in. And that's just as simple as picturing your crown chakra opening up over your head and unconditional love and white light coming down through you, spreading down through your feet all the way down into the center of the earth, and just a continuous flow. Then you can write a question in your journal and ask your guides, the angels, your ancestors for some answers, and sit there and wait and see what comes through. If you're already connecting with an ancestor or a spirit guide or an archangel or someone, you can also specifically ask them a question. Now, when I learned about this technique back in 2012, I started it and I did start channeling people, and I didn't know always who I was channeling. Sometimes I still don't. Sometimes it's very clear who it is. Often it would be my great-grandpa Joe, who would share a lot of insight and some tough love with me. And sorry, even in times where I'm scared or I don't know the right next step to take, I will still go and journal and ask him those questions, or I'll meditate and ask. But journaling gives me a way to record that and then go back and look at it later if I want. I always know when I'm being channeled through into my journal because my writing starts going really fast. It's really messy and I can almost not keep up with it. And I designate with a couple dashes in my journal where those sections are. And if I know who's talking to me, then I'll note that too. And going back and reading some of those is helpful, especially later in time when I've maybe gone through a hard period and made some different choices, going back to see what was the advice that they gave me. So that's one way that you can connect with your ancestors. What I would also encourage is if you can do this outside where you're standing on the ground and earthing or grounding your energy, that will also help you channel them a little bit more easily. And I have one other tip for you. A few years ago, probably 2013, 2014, I was doing a lot of writing prompts, and I found one that allowed me to connect with my great-grandpa Joe. And I use that same journaling prompt anytime I really need to go back and talk to him, unless I'm out somewhere and I don't have my journal. So in this prompt, and maybe you've come across one that's helped you connect with one of your ancestors or spirit guides, but in this particular prompt, it said, write about the fact that you're digging up the garden in the back of your house, and you dig up architectural plans for your house. So you unroll them and you look and you see that there's an extra room somewhere in your house. Go find it and write about it. So that was interesting. And as I started to write, I could picture like this big Victorian house with all these staircases. And so I walk up this staircase, I come to this landing where there could be a door, but there's a wall. And I feel that there's something on the other side. So I go get a sledgehammer and I knock it down. And as I walk through, I end up May 29th, 1921 in Chicago, in the living room area of my great-great-grandparents' house, Joseph and Magdalena Kokoska, where my great-granduncle Michael, who died from World War I, is being waked. And I've written his story. I've channeled him. I've channeled his brother, my great-grandpa Joe. And usually when I read that story in my talks, it brings people to tears. It still brings me to tears. And that's where I first connected consciously with Joseph. So anytime I need to go talk to him, I'll start the journal prompt. I'm stepping into the room. Every time I've done that since I started this 6-7 years ago, he's always waiting for me in the house. One time he wasn't. One time my cousin Frank, who died in World War II, who served with the 29th, was there. Otherwise, my great-grandpa is always there. Often we'll sit in his kitchen and have coffee and kolaczki, and I can smell the coffee. I can smell his tobacco from his pipe. I can feel his hugs. I feel the unconditional love that he's giving me. And we talk, and I write it all down in my journal. And it really brings me a lot of peace and helps me work through a lot of things. So that's just one more way that you can connect with your ancestors using your journal. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You can also ask that Creator, God, Source, Spirit, whatever you want to call that, and the archangels can come put a layer of protection around you before you connect. I often do this. Well, no, I always do this. And sometimes I even set up another kind of boundary around me, like I picture stones, ash, and salt, and kind of create this virtual physical boundary. And I specifically say, I'm the only one allowed in this circle. And then I can invite in Creator, Source, archangels, ascended masters, whoever else, my very well ancestors, those who have completely healed. Many of them are very ancient, and ask them for support. So those are some ways that you can connect today with your ancestors, and the journaling just takes practice. So if you do it the first time and you feel like nothing's coming through, then sit with that and maybe just journal about that. Say, I feel blocked. I don't know what the next step is. And then try it again another time and keep practicing and keep allowing yourself to open to what they have to say. They will give you blessings. They will give you warnings. They will give you good advice. Just ask for it in the highest and best way for you and for everyone, and see what they have to say. If you'd like to know more, you can join the Genealogy Ancestral Lineage Healing group on Facebook that I run. I also do private facilitation sessions, so if you want to work with me one-on-one, I offer that. If you're looking at creating something new in your life, I'm now also offering coaching sessions, which are a mix of facilitation hours plus hours where I work specifically for you to help you create projects, find new resources for you, do a little training with you, do some energy clearing, whatever is required. And this is the time where we're all being given to step into another version of ourselves. So if you're interested in any of those things, please check out findingtheanswersjourney.com, because that's where my facilitation and coaching sessions are. And then the Facebook group again is Genealogy Ancestral Lineage Healing. And I will post my Linktree link with this video wherever I'm going to post it on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. And you will be able to see where you can find me everywhere. So please reach out and connect. And I am doing some live Zoom meetings in a lot of the groups that I run, where we get to just meet up once a week and talk and share some news, whether it's military news in the genealogy group, ask questions, or in the ancestral lineage healing. There are a lot of different people with a lot of different gifts that will share things, and we'll just start creating our different world. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, and please reach out if you need some support.